After spending the last week in America's big cities, I head into the country's heartland. In 2006, Somali refugees started to arrive in Emporia, Kansas, to work at the local food processing plant. Not even 2 years later, drastic job cuts forced all of them to move on to other plants in the Midwest. Laszlo Kulchar, a sociology professor, conducted a soon-to-be-published study in Emporia to learn more about the impact of the Somalis' arrival and quick departure on the town's culture.
Before the Somalis came, and then of course Emporia, just like most of the other Midwestern places with a significant Latino population, had the typical tensions that we know from the national discourse about, immigrants coming in, stealing our jobs, behaving sort of like differently. After the Somalis, the Latinos were put in a much better light, and suddenly it turned out to be hardworking people who were sort of like tried their best to integrate into the community, whereas the newcomer Somalis, because of the striking cultural differences, were seen as people who did not want to make that decision.
A close-knit community in a foreign place, the Somali refugees used a local restaurant as a gathering place, irritating locals already concerned with the newcomers.
So in many cases what happened is that they sat outside a cafe just like minding their own business, and then of course people driving by or passing by were sort of like surprised to see them and sometimes upset, because if you see a bunch of people with different cultural backgrounds sort of like gathered together seemingly doing nothing, then this could be suspicious for some people who are not accustomed to that kind of diversity.
At the Flint Hills Community Health Center, nurses Renee Hively and Laurie Torres tell me that 70 Somali refugees looking for care quickly turned into 1,500.
So it did impact us as far as staffing. We had, numbers grew, 10 times over, and we didn't have the funding to hire additional staff to be able to support the new community members. The bottlenecks were huge here, and the impact that it had on the rest of our patients coming in is longer wait times, and our regular clients were getting frustrated because they would have to wait longer to get their child vaccinated. Fear of having to sit in our waiting room from our patients in the community was something they feared, because they didn't know if they were carrying disease and what were they going to get. So we had to really educate the community on that aspect.
We were able, between work and personal connections, to get to know quite a few of them, and that made us more comfortable, and it made them more comfortable too.
And as quickly as they came in, they left just as fast. And so that was a little bit disappointing, I think.
When I first found out that Tyson was closing down a lot of their operations, and I knew what it would mean, that they'd be leaving and fairly quickly, I was almost devastated. I mean, really, it was very sad, because I knew a lot of the new friendships that we'd made, and we were making real progress even out in the community. The communities, parts of it were pretty slow to come around.
And it was an opportunity to educate, somebody about new people coming in. It's not going to happen. It's happened before. I mean, we'd had Hispanics migrate in, we've had Vietnamese, Cambodian come in, but never a group of people that had such an impact.
I leave Emporia and drive west towards Garden City, where some of the Somalis found a new home. Having a long history with refugee settlement, I want to find out how Garden City deals with the issue of integrating an unknown culture into its community.